I'm sure many of us have said to ourselves, are we really mad? And then come across a sign like this. Many of us think, what the heck are we doing? Why are we needing to do this? Why do we need to know what's wrong? And then many of us decide that we know that we have somewhere to go, that we have to make a journey. But in order to make that journey, we have to take the first tentative steps. So we look around, we end up making an appointment to see someone who we've never met before. We want to make the best impression. We want to make sure that we get there on time. It's no good being late. We think to ourselves, what are they going to ask us? What are we going to say? Who are these strange people we've never met before? Why do we need to talk to them? Why do we need to explain to them how we feel? And are we really, really mad? We don't think we're mad. I'm not mad. Are you mad? Are they mad? But one thing's for sure, in order for us to make our journey, we have to speak to these people. Whether it's here, or in the new GIC, down in London in Charing Cross. Whether it's seeing somebody on the NHS, or whether some of us took the earlier routes privately and saw people such as Dr. Russell Reed, making sure that we walked down the stairs carefully, that we didn't trip over and fall over head first to make ourselves look silly, coming across a big blue door, having to ring the bell, wondering whether we should walk away, whether we should give up now or continue our journeys. So whether it was Earl's Court, or Charing Cross, or even in Wimpole Street, we had to go and talk to someone. Eventually some of us would end up having surgery, whether it's in the UK, or whether we decide to go to pastures far away, somewhere a little bit warmer. Many of us take these steps, many of us have these journeys, but what was it like for people before us? How did they cope? How did our forerunners make it through 50, 60, 70, 80 years, or even more? Let's have a look. James Barry. James Barry was born between 1792 and 1795 and was a military surgeon in the British Army. After graduation from the University of Edinburgh, Barry served in India and Cape Town, South Africa, amongst other countries around the world. By the end of his career, he had risen to the rank of Inspector General in charge of military hospitals. In his travels, he not only improved conditions for the wounded soldiers, but also the conditions of the native inhabitants. Among his accomplishments was the first successful caesarean section in Africa by a British surgeon, in which both the mother and child survived the operation. Although Barry lived his adult life as a man, his biological sex is disputed. It is widely believed that Barry was born female as Margaret Ann Bulkley and chose to live as a man so that he might be accepted as a university student and be able to pursue his chosen career as a surgeon. If so, Barry was the first female Briton to become a qualified medical doctor. It has also been theorized that Barry was intersexed. He died from dysentery on July the 25th, 1865, and apparently the charwoman who took care of his body, Sophia Bishop, was the first to discover his female body, and revealed the truth after the funeral. Afterwards, many people claimed to have known it all along. The British Army sealed all records for 100 years. Historian Isabel Rye gained access to the Army records in the 1950s and concluded that Barry was a niece of James Barry, the painter. He was buried in Kensal Green Cemetery in London, with the only name he was ever known by and with full military rank. Lawrence Michael Dillon, the world's first transsexual man. Born on the 1st of May 1915 in London, Laura Maud Dillon, daughter of Robert Dillon of Lismullen, County Meath, was a normal, healthy female child. Unfortunately, her mother died of blood poisoning brought on by an infection several days later, and her father rejected her and sent her along with her brother to live with their aunts in Folkestone in England. In 1925, both her father and grandfather died, and her 11-year-old brother became Sir Robert Dillon, the 8th Baronet. She was educated at an exclusive girls' school and at St Anne's College in Oxford, winning her rowing blue in a women's crew and graduating in 1938. During her summer holidays, she would spend time with a housekeeper back on the family estate in County Meath. Dillon had long been more comfortable in men's clothing and felt he was not truly a woman. In 1939, he sought treatment from Dr. George Foss, who had been experimenting with testosterone to treat excessive menstrual bleeding. At the time, the hormone's masculinization features were poorly understood. Foss provided him with testosterone pills, but insisted he consult a psychiatrist first, who gossiped about Dillon's desire to become a man, and soon the story was all over town. Dillon fled to Bristol and took a job as a garage hand. Within months of starting testosterone, he had grown a beard and was living as a man. He had a mastectomy in 1942, and in 1944 he had his birth certificate amended, changing daughter to son and Laura Maud to Lawrence Michael. Upon hearing this, his brother Sir Robert reacted with both disbelief and horror and cut him out of his life. Michael, as he now called himself, entered medical college in Trinity College, Dublin in 1945 under his new name. During the holidays between 1945 and 1949, he had a series of long and painful operations at the hospital of the plastic surgeon Sir Harold Gillis to complete the physical changes. It was the dramatic transition in his appearance that finally persuaded Gillis to operate. Sir Harold Gillis, internationally renowned as the father of modern plastic surgery, played a pioneering wartime role in Britain developing pedicle flap surgery. Gillis later performed surgery on the United Kingdom's first male-to-female transsexual, Roberta Carroll. What is not so well known is that Sir Harold was also one of the pioneers of gender reassignment surgery. In 1945, he and his colleague Ralph Millard carried out the world's first sex change of a woman into a man on Michael. Michael is also believed to be the first woman to have taken the male hormone testosterone in order to look like a man. Michael later showed his amended birth certificate to Debrett's peerage, who agreed to change their entry, thus acknowledging his claim to the baronetcy as the next male in line after his childless brother. The editor assured him that the changes in Debrett were automatically followed by Burke's peerage. He won his rowing blue, this time as a man, graduated in 1951 and became a ship's doctor, serving on voyages to Asia, Australia and America. Burke's peerage failed to change their entry, and the discrepancy with Debrett's was discovered in 1958 by the Sunday Express, which investigated further and publicised the change of sex. Michael was devastated at this revelation of a secret that he had seriously concealed, and he fled to Calcutta, then took refuge in a Buddhist monastery at Samath, Bengal. He was ordained as a monk of the Tibetan order, taking the name Lobsang Juvara, and spent his time studying Buddhism and writing. He gave what money he had to help struggling students. The hardships of life in primitive conditions, made worse by the strict vegetarian diet required by Buddhism, took their toll. His health failed, and he died in hospital in Dalhousie, Punjab, on May the 15th, 1962, aged 47.